Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio begins now. Hear the best in new music, artist interviews, stories from the road, and more. You are now backstage, and here's your host, Mothership.
Hey everybody, Resurrection Records band Reborn just released their new debut album, The War Within. So let's go. You guys are a Christian rock band from San Antonio, Texas. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Reborn. I want you to start with Ryan. Tell us who you are, what you do in the band, and what 3 words would you use to describe yourself?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, my name's Ryan. I am the frontman and lead vocalist for Reborn. 3 words to describe myself. I'd say spontaneous, honorable, and loving.
Nice.
All right, so my name is Rob. I am the drummer for Reborn. And 3 words I would use to describe myself are loyal, funny, and extrovert.
Okay. Marco?
I'm Marco. I'm the lead guitarist of the band. I am the founder of the band. I think I'd say willing to serve. That's been definitely something I'm passionate about. I love serving.
Ooh, you turned it into a sentence. I like that interpretation. Tell us a little bit about the beginnings of the band.
Sure. It started as a dream. I was a teenager when the name came to me, and I grew up in my father's music group, and I remember when I told him, hey, Dad, I want to start my own band one day. Since the moment I mentioned it to him, he's been nothing but 100% supportive to this day. He's a huge supporter of Reborn and what we do, so yeah, huge shout out to my dad. Now, as far as the name itself, not really a huge backstory to it. It's a phrase in Spanish. At the time that particular phrase came to me, that phrase is vuelve a nacer. It loosely translates to being born again, and that phrase just stuck with me.
Rob, why does the world need the band Reborn?
Oh, wow. I love your questions.
I know.
This is why. And I am confident on this since I've been in the band. I've been on the band now for over 2 years. And there's a lot of great Christian hard rock and metal bands that are out there. And they each have their own flair. They each have the way that they bring the message. But with Reborn, we hit on topics that are so relevant that are about the inner struggle in your walk with the Lord, not just someone that doesn't know Christ, but someone who actually knows Christ and still contemplates wanting to go down a dark path. And we hit on those topics. And I really think that's something that needs to be heard today, because so many, like I said, so many great Christian bands, and they're great. Don't get me wrong. I love a lot of them out there. My all-time favorite, of course, is Striper, but bands like Chaotic Resemblance and things like that, they bring this music where they're talking about Jesus and they're really putting it in your face. And I think that's amazing and that's awesome and we need it. But we also need that message that makes you want to go, hey, they know exactly what I'm going through because that's what I feel. And then they need to know that the answer to whatever it is they're going through, be it depression, suicidal ideations, or whatever the case may be, they need to know that Jesus is the answer for all of that. So that's why we need Reborn right now.
The music that we write lyrically, we speak a lot about things that we go through personally, and so many people relate to our material. We've had lots of feedback on our music, reflections. So many people relate to that song as far as what they go through. There's that period of I can't even look at myself in the mirror because I'm ashamed of what I've done in my past. And there's that turnaround where you realize God loves you for who you are, whatever mistakes you made in the past. He's there. He wants to love you. He wants to be there for you, and just turn to him. Ultimately, at the end of that song, there's the realization that God is not looking for perfection. It's in that last chorus. That line hits. It even hit me. It hit me when I first heard it and when we were tracking the vocals, when we were demoing it. Yeah, reflection definitely stands out there. So we keep it real. So many people are going through things nowadays, and with our music, we touch on it. We talk about it. Real stuff.
You're relatively new to the scene. Give us that timeline.
Like in 2020, we kind of started demoing, kind of when Ready to Fly was being tracked. And at the time, it really was just Ryan and myself. We didn't have a band. We just still went for it. I play multiple instruments, so why don't we just track a demo, record something just to get something out there, get a song out. So ultimately, we were like, okay, well, let's give it a shot. So we tracked Ready to Fly, that first single that we had. Throughout the recording process, we were kind of building the band. We had our bass player, Rafa, jumped on or towards the end of the recording. And then we just went from there and how the five of us got together. Dave, he was the first name that came up. My wife knows him from years ago. They were in a worship group together, the university they were going to. He's the first name that she mentioned when we were talking about finding musicians for the band. She said, why don't you call Dave? I'm like, I really don't know him. So I kind of met him and discovered his playing style as we went along. We reached out to him to help us out for a gig. He wasn't able to do it, so we did find a substitute who was a drummer. Moving along, our bass players in the band, Dave, came in originally as our drummer. And then throughout the time, we connected with Rob. We all became friends. And we kind of reached out to him like, hey, look, we had this opportunity come up. What do you think? We're young and inexperienced, so what can you tell us? Or what kind of advice can you give? So it's kind of how it started. And he did share his point of view, his experience with us. And at the time, I think he wasn't in a band at all. The four of us, we knew we wanted to kind of step up our game a bit. The question came up, what about a fifth musician? We either find a rhythm guitarist or a drummer, put Dave on guitar. We knew at the time Dave was more of a guitar player anyway. So he even shared it with us. He's stronger on guitar. So yeah, from there, conversation came up as far as, okay, well, what are we going to do? Why don't we find a drummer? I think Rob was first on the list. Yeah, so I reached out to him. I let him know, hey, look, looking for a fifth musician. We're thinking about moving Dave to rhythm guitar, having you come in on drums. Right away, he said, yeah, I'm in. His showmanship, his style of playing, he's definitely got that energy that we needed. So, yeah, here we are now.
On a scale of 1 to 7, how excited were you, Rob, when they asked you to join?
I was about a 10,000. I had felt such a connection with these guys. I had been in a bunch of different bands, and I had just come out of being in a band called Stop the Sun, and I had some excitement about it, but it did end up working out, and I had just made some pretty big strides in my career as far as music goes at the time, and then to not be in a band was just kind of devastating for me. But I had been praying, and I just felt this connection with the guys in Reborn. I can't explain it. It was like when we got together, it felt like I'd known them for years, and I had just met them. And I don't know, there was just this connection I had with Ryan and I had with Marco, Dave too. I mean, I remember the first time I helped them out. I actually played bass for them one time because Rafa could make a gig, and we were in Florida. I shared a room with Dave, and him and I connected real well. We both are Star Wars nerds, and it was just so much that we had in common. And I don't know, it's hard to explain. Spirit, no spirit, bottom line. And our spirits definitely connected. And so when it came up that, they needed another drummer, and right away I said yes. When we played for the first time and said, well, let's see how this goes, and we just kind of went into it, it was like, oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, for sure. And I'll be honest, when you hear the first recording of Reflection and things like that, without Dave playing that extra guitar, it makes a big difference. When you hear the music now live compared to when Dave was playing drums, it sounds a lot heavier. And that's the crazy thing, is that Dave going to guitar and me going to drums made the band sound a whole lot heavier than it was sounding before. So now we had these metal concerts and things that people wanted us to play at. Now we're sharing the stage with bands like Gratitude, Texas, and these bands that are straight like just metal and screaming lyrics and stuff. And then we come in and we're heavy, but we were melodic. We have, Ryan can sing his butt off, and we have harmonies, and it's a whole different ball game when you hear Reborn, but it fits well. It meshes. So this is my home now, for definitely. I have told the guys this several times. This is the band that I want to be with until I can't play anymore.
Ryan, had you ever been a singer for any other band?
No. Reborn was my first. I used to lead worship in church and stuff like that.
Okay.
When I was younger, I used to sing and stuff too, and choir and all that other stuff. So I've been singing for quite some time.
He was a rapper too.
Oh, really?
Fun fact, yes, I was a rapper. I went by the name of Lil Ryan. There is still music out there.
Did you start out with the intention of writing a full album, or did you just start writing singles and an album happened?
We're always writing every day, and I have a collection of riffs sitting there in my phone, and there's a lot of ideas. And yeah, I guess you could say it was kind of like we just wrote the riffs, and I knew I wanted to do an album. It was just a matter of picking out which riffs to go off on.
Would you call it a concept album?
You could say that, especially lyrically. There's a lot of music that deals with, as I mentioned earlier, the personal issues that we go through. Yeah, the album touches a lot on that.
And the crazy thing is, we haven't deviated from that. We're already writing songs for the new album. We're actually in the studio now recording our newest single called Heal the Broken. And the three of us actually wrote that. Of course, Marco with the riff, and then me and Ryan, we wrote the lyrics. And it's very personal. You know, I just got done writing a song lyrically about a situation I'm going through right now. And Ryan's excited about it because the chorus is catchy. You know?
Nice.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it is because of the stuff that we're going through. I'm going through a trial right now that I've been going through since January. I still kind of don't see the light at the end of the tunnel just yet. And it's been a lot of pain. There's been a lot of just fighting through it. And praise God that he gave me the gift of writing, because I was able to take that pain and emotion and anger that I had and just pour it out into lyrics. With the focus, of course, that even going through all this, it's still Jesus that helps me through it. Even though the first album kind of came out as almost like a concept album, right? It was done by accident. It's not like we were kissed and decided to write The Elder, thank God. But you know, it just so happened that all the songs really kind of spoke on that, and we're still talking about that. Like Marco said, it's relevant, you know, the stuff that we go through. I mean, I'm sure we could sit down and write a praise song. It would be good, and I'm not saying we won't do that in the future, but all I know is that right now we just seem to be writing stuff that is about what we're going through, because each one of us tend to go through stuff, and it's like this is the best way to get out what we're feeling inside. So that's what we do.
Well, with that in mind, Rob, what is the Reborn song that you relate to the most, and why?
Reflection. Just because I get told a lot about how, oh, Rob, you know, you're such an awesome man of God. You know, thank you for the advice, and I love helping people. And on the outside, everybody looks at me and sees me as a good man. I don't see myself that way. I see myself making so many mistakes, and I'm my own worst critic, you know, and I look in the mirror and sometimes I can't even look at myself. And I'm a musician, man. The first thing I hear right away is the music, right? I'm like, oh, this is dope. But then when those lyrics hit, I was just like, bro, it hit hard. And so that song I relate to so well, because even now, through this trial, I feel like my walk with God has gotten tighter. I don't want to say closer, because he's always been there. He never left, right? But I definitely incorporate him more in my life than I used to. And even now, knowing that he's there and he's with me the whole way, I still have my moments when I can't even look at myself in the mirror, because I just feel like such a piece of crap, you know. And so yeah, that Reflection is probably the one that it's my favorite, and I relate to it the most as far as lyrical content. Now, musically, my favorite is Worship You Alone, just because it's the heaviest song on the album.
Okay. Ryan, how about you?
Oh, man, I got two, but I think the one that I relate to the most is probably going to be Ready to Fly. That was our first single that we released, and I was in a battle of like depression and suicidal thoughts and anxiety, just I mean, going downhill. I knew God, and I knew to pray, and I knew all these things about church and so on and so forth. But the enemy just kept hitting and hitting and hitting. And when I wrote that song, you know, the chorus, it says, "I'm tired of falling into the darkness. I want to fall into the light. I don't want to live next to my enemy. I want my spirit ready to rise." And those lyrics hit me so hard, because it's like, that's all I want. I want to be as close to Jesus as possible. And the enemy's just throwing things at me, and I'm dodging them left and right. But we got to continue to do that. We got to continue to push forward and rely on people. That's always been my thing. I used to be very like by myself, and now I have brothers and sisters and stuff who I can talk to. My wife, of course, as well. I have people I can talk to now to say, look, this is what I'm feeling, and I need help. I need prayer. Shout out to my brothers here and everybody that we know. Resurrection Records, all of them. They have helped me get through some things, even recently, where it was like, man, I was fighting this, and God gave me a peace that I had never felt before in this situation. And I was just like, okay, Lord, like, okay, I got to do what you're telling me to do. And Ready to Fly is all about that. It's about going through these things, dealing with them, and overcoming them with your family, with your friends, with the people who care and love you. And that's why I love it so much.
Okay, Marco, which Reborn song do you relate to the most and why?
Musically, I always point to Deeper Again, only because there's so much going on there. We kind of threw everything we got and had into that one. It's energy. There's a nice chorus there. There's vocal harmony. There's a bass solo and a guitar solo. I wrote the ending as a drummer. I wanted that energy. I always point to that one musically. Now, lyrically, I think I'd go with, at the moment, The War Within. There's always that mental struggle that we have inside. I know we can all attest to going through that, internal battles, battles in the mind. And that image for the album, I remember looking at it and like, wow, that's deep, because it's an image of a person there, and in the mind there's a bunch of stuff going on. There's a war going on in the mind, the flames coming out. Thinking to myself here, I can definitely attest to having struggles mentally. It's relevant. It's a real thing. It hits home for me. Struggles, things like that. So I would say The War Within definitely is most relatable to me at the moment.
Well, it's a solid album, guys, I'll just say. And I listened to it again today. What are you most proud of overall?
For me, I think it's the impact that it has made on people. We did a show at Rob's church with a bunch of youth, and these kids were singing our music, and it was just like, what is going on? Like, we talked to somebody afterwards, a younger youth, and she was saying how much that hit her, because she battles with these things. And it's just like, wow, like even as young kids, for them to be going to church and they still go through things. And I think that's why I love what we do with our music, is because it's so relatable to so many people, and we can help change their lives. Of course, it's all God that he does the work, and we're just planting the seeds. But it's amazing to see some of the people when you're like, hey, they're like, wow, I really enjoyed your set, and we enjoy the music, and really touched us. And I'm just like, wow, like the impact that we have on people has really been a humbling experience, and it's been great. I love it.
I'm definitely in agreement on that. The impact that it's had. I point to that same show with all the youth, the simple fact that they were singing along to our music. Essentially, they're fans. The fact that our music reached out to somebody, I'm definitely most proud of that. We got to continue this. It's inspiring to see that, to watch them get so excited for our music. They were looking forward to us coming to that church for a while, and when we were finally there, the excitement that was in the room, it was unbelievable.
I would have to agree with that sentiment. Just the impact that we seem to be making, the fact that we're spreading the gospel with this platform, to me, that's a given. But for me personally, what I'm most proud of is that I am literally living a dream that I had since I was a kid, where I would get to perform in front of a bunch of people, and that people would, God, this is going to sound so conceited, and I don't really mean it to, but people would know who we are, right? But not because we're these awesome musicians and our music's so good, but because of the message that we bring to the table. You know what I mean? That is what really excites me. And the fact that we're in the same discussion as those bands that I kind of put up on a pedestal, when I find out we're opening for who, what, really, like that really makes me really get excited. I'm still waiting for the day when we're sharing the stage with Striper. I think on that day I'm probably gonna faint or something, and you're gonna have to pick me up off the floor. But yeah, that's one thing I'm very proud of, and the fact that with this band, my most proud moment was last week. I got to lay down the drum tracks for this song. Not a lot of people know this, and I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but yeah, I'm actually gonna say it, guys. I can't believe it, but I'm gonna say it. The first album is not me drumming. It's all Marco. So that's why I was so excited about last Monday, because I think I just told Marco this. He's the only one I told. But the last time I actually was in a recording studio recording drums, I was 14 years old. And here I am, 49, doing it again with music that I love. And not just music that I love, but music that I really had a hand in, because I helped write the lyrics to this, And so I just had this moment where I was just kind of there like, wow, I'm really doing this. This is awesome. This is amazing. I'm so thankful to God for allowing me to still be doing this at 49, because I started this journey of playing music for the Lord when I was 12 years old. And here I am still going strong. First time I heard Soldiers Under Command by Striper, that was it. I was hooked. And then I was like, I looked at it like, it's an omen. The drummer for Striper's name is Robert. That's my name. It's like, I'm supposed to be doing this,
Done deal,
so,
right?
Yeah, exactly. So, so I'm just very proud of that, and very excited to be a part of Reborn.
How did the relationship with Resurrection Records happen?
Well, that's a good question. You know what? If I can remember correctly, I want to say there was like a post saying, I'm starting a label, so on and so forth. And I had been following Aaron for a while, and I'm like, why not? Let's just put it out there, see what happens. And I think all of us can say we've heard of bad experiences with labels, so we weren't exactly sure if we really wanted to do this. But I put us out there, and I'm like, check us out, let us know. And then we heard back from Aaron, and he was just like, hey guys, I like your music. I like what you guys stand for and what you guys do on and off stage. I'm looking at signing you guys. What do y'all think? And I think we took a few weeks to sit down and actually talk about it and know, like, okay, this is like a huge commitment. Do we want to do it? And if we're going to do it, we're going to put our all to it. And all I can say is shout out to Aaron and Resurrection, because they have been phenomenal. They've been awesome, praying for us and praying for everybody when we're going through things, and when we need something, that he's right there. It's been great.
Yeah, I think Jermaine from Tricord mentioned us to Aaron too.
Okay.
But I have to say, I agree so much with Ryan. I'm going to let another secret out. But when I was a kid, I was about 18 years old. I signed with my first label, but as a Christian rapper.
2 rappers.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But anyway, so my experience with that label was not a great experience. And then, of course, you hear all the horror stories about labels. So like Ryan said, we were just kind of like, do we want to do this? But I got to tell you, Resurrection Records is not a label like the others out there. It is completely different. I've never seen a label where all of the artists on the label is like one big happy family. Usually whoever's signed, they do their own thing, and you don't really see them really meshing unless there's a tour or something planned. But we were just in Oklahoma. Ryan was there helping out Brandon, Michael, and there was a lot of Resurrection representation there, and didn't even know each other. It's the first time meeting face to face, but you could have swore we were at a family reunion. It was crazy. And I love Aaron. He's so ministry minded that it's just a breath of fresh air. He has a monthly Bible study meeting for everybody on the label that we do via like Zoom. And he uses that time to kind of talk shop about things coming up, but then he also uses it for Bible study, because that's what's the heart of Resurrection Records. I'm so happy we're a part of it. I'm so happy for all of the artists in it. I root for everybody. And yeah, it's just, this is just the beginning. Just wait till next year. Resurrection Records is really going to blow up. You're going to hear a lot of good music coming from that label. And I'm just glad we're a part of it.
Awesome. What is next?
Right now, we are working on some new material. We're constantly writing, not just the one single that we're working on now. There's at least 10 ideas that I'm thinking off the top of my head right now that I have down on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have 6 complete, like technically lyric-wise complete songs to riffs and stuff already.
Yeah, we're working on that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so stay tuned. There's some things coming for Reborn. The other guys have more details on the shows coming up that we're doing.
Okay.
We got August 31st for Break the Silence here in San Antonio, Texas at Last Chance Ministries. We have September 14th, we're going to be in Fort Worth at the Finding Hope Music Festival. And then October 5th, we're going to be in Harrison, Arkansas for Rocking the River. And then I guess the beans are spilled, right? So we can talk about the RR Fest.
Aaron had an idea where he wants to do like a Resurrection Records show, like a festival.
Oh,
and
cool.
He wants to do it in every town where every band is from.
Yeah.
So we're talking about that, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe the first one's going to be in Oklahoma.
This is like fall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And it'll be all Resurrection Records artists. So it'll be
Okay.
the Resurrection Mafia in full effect.
We were talking about reflections.
Yeah.
When you are looking at the band as a whole into the mirror, what kind of reflection do you see?
A big one.
Besides a big one. Okay, so we've got a really big mirror. So the others standing there as a band.
Yeah.
What kind of reflection do you see as a group when you look in that mirror?
I'll go ahead and go first. So that's cool. I personally see a band of brothers, and it's not just, we hang out all the time. Whenever we go to shows, we hang out, da. No, each and every one of us are here for each other. I have gone through some very, very personal things, like I was mentioning earlier, suicide attempts and so on and so forth, that these guys have literally, they're calling me, hey, you all right, you all right, you all right, what's happening, what's going on, let's pray with you, let's talk. It's definitely a band of brothers where we can talk about anything and everything, no matter how harsh it is. Brothers like that no matter what, you fight, you argue, you see differences sometimes, but when you have Christ centered in a group like this, nothing can break you. And that's why I see that band of brothers, because I believe that nothing can break us, no matter what we go through.
Want to go next, Marco?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I definitely see diversity because we've all got our backgrounds, our experiences, and we bring it all to the table. Rob shared a little bit about music he's grown up with. I have my background. Ryan's got his experience. Rafa, he brings his flavor. Dave brings his experience. And the five of us together, it makes us unique. It helps us create our sound. Definitely diversity.
For me, I have to kind of piggyback off of what Ryan was saying, because when I look at Reborn, yes, I do see, like he said, a band of brothers, but it's like the word that I keep thinking in my head is just real. We're not just this, hey, this is who we are, we're on stage. No, the way you see us on stage, that's how we are off stage, right? Mm-hmm. We're very real with one another, and I love the realism in the band. Now, at the center of it, it's Christ, always. But there's such realism in the band. I was having marital issues, and I brought it to the guys, and you got the seriousness of Marco, and his wife, and saying, we're going to pray. We're going to pray with you. We're going to pray for you, and God's going to move on your behalf. And then, you got the semi-seriousness of Ryan, who's like, hey, I've gone through that myself, and I'm here with you, bro. I'll back you up. And, if you need a shoulder to cry on or to talk to, I'm here. And then you got the way other side of Rafa going, don't worry about it, bro. You can find another one. It's just the whole aspect of it. It's just this broad spectrum, and I love it. I love just being able to have. It's like having real brothers. Like you got the crazy brother, and then you got the quiet brother. So it's real. That's what it is. It's real, and that's one thing I love about Reborn and how we are when we get together. We've said things to each other sometimes that rub us the wrong way. I know in the past, Rafa and I have butt heads a lot of times about music and stuff. But, man, I take a bullet for that brother. He's my brother, just like all the guys in the band. So, yeah, I think we're unique in that way for sure.
I like to compare us to the Ninja Turtles because I'm Leo. I'm the leader. Ryan is like Mikey. He's the silly one.
You're going to call me Splinter, aren't you?
Yes, I am. obviously, because his name, number one. Number two, he does kind of have that little bit of attitude sometimes.
Yeah.
Dave is Donnie, because he's the smart one. He's the bookworm. He actually does have a degree in music. So he's the brains. So yeah, I like to compare us to Ninja Turtle.
And I'm the rat.
He's the wise man.
Right? I'm making us a picture now.
Okay.
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm figuring it out. I'm going to make a picture of us as Ninja Turtle faces, and that's it. We're doing it. Okay.
New album cover.
There you go. There you go. I like it.
Well, you guys have a great night, and I hope to see you out on the road.
You too. Thanks, Cindy.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more great music, and check out my blog page on the Solid Rock Radio website for my guests' social media links. If you've missed any of my past interviews, you can find them uploaded to podcast.solidrockradio.org. Have a wonderful week, and let's be kind to one another.